Hey, what's up, gamers? Welcome back to GamingSafeSpace, your chill spot for all things gaming. And today we've got some wild news to unpack. If you're in the USA and you've been hyped to pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2, well, buckle up, because things just got messy. Nintendo's hit the brakes on pre-orders here in the States, and it's all because of some new tariffs announced by Donald Trump. What does this mean for the Switch 2? Could the price skyrocket? Let's dive in and figure this out together. Stick around, hit that like button if you're excited for the Switch 2, and let's get started. So, here's the deal. Nintendo dropped a bombshell this week. Pre-orders for the Switch 2 in the USA, originally set to kick off on April 9th, 2025, are officially delayed. Yep, if you were planning to camp out at GameStop or mash that refresh button on Best Buy's website, you're going to have to wait a bit longer. Nintendo put out a statement saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, they need to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Basically, they're hitting pause to figure out how this whole tariff situation is going to shake out. The good news? The launch date is still locked in for June 5th, 2025, so we're not waiting longer to play it, just to pre-order it. The bad news? Well, this only applies to the USA. If you're watching from Canada, the UK, or pretty much anywhere else, your pre-orders seem to be moving forward as planned. Some folks overseas are even locking in their consoles already. So, why are we in the States getting the short end of the Joy-Con? 2 words: Trump tariffs. Okay, let's break this down real quick, because I know not everyone's a trade expert, and honestly, I'm not either. Tariffs are basically taxes that a country slaps on goods coming in from other countries. Think of it like an extra fee you'd pay if you ordered something from overseas and customs decided to charge you more at the border. In this case, President Trump announced a massive wave of tariffs just hours after Nintendo's big Switch 2 reveal event this week. And when I say massive, I mean it. These are some hefty numbers. Countries like Vietnam and Cambodia, where Nintendo's been making a lot of its Switch 2 hardware, got hit hard. Vietnam's looking at a 46% tariff, and Cambodia's up to 49%. For context, that's a huge jump. Japan, where Nintendo's based, got a 24% tariff, and China, where some parts might still come from, is facing a 34% hike on top of existing rates. These tariffs are set to kick in soon, with some starting as early as April 5th, 2025. Now, why does this matter for gaming? Well, when companies like Nintendo have to pay more to bring their consoles into the USA, that extra cost doesn't just disappear. They often pass it on to us, the buyers. So, the Switch 2, which was already announced at $449.99, already pricier than the original Switch's $299 launch price, could end up costing even more. And that's got a lot of fans, including me, a little worried. So, let's talk about why Nintendo's hitting the panic button here. The Switch 2 was unveiled with all this hype. New games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, a bigger screen, mouse mode Joy-Cons, the works. They set the price at $449.99, which, raised some eyebrows because it's a big jump from the original Switch. But then, bam, Trump drops this tariff bomb, and suddenly Nintendo's like, hold up, we need to rethink this. Here's the thing, Nintendo's been smart about production. Back during Trump's first term, they started moving a lot of their manufacturing out of China to places like Vietnam and Cambodia to dodge earlier tariffs. Analysts say about half of Switch production is split between those two countries now. But with these new tariffs hitting Vietnam and Cambodia harder than ever, that plan's looking shaky. Some folks are guessing Nintendo might have baked some tariff costs into that $449.99 price already. But these new rates, like 46% and 49%, might be way more than they expected. And get this. There's talk that Nintendo shipped hundreds of thousands of Switch 2 units into the USA earlier this year, maybe to beat the tariff deadline. But with the console expected to sell millions at launch, that stockpile might not last long. If they have to import more after the tariffs hit, prices could climb. Some analysts are throwing around numbers like $600 or more. Ouch, right? All right, let's get real. What does this mean for you and me, the gamers? First off, the pre-order delay is a bummer. Nintendo hasn't said when they'll open them back up, just that they'll update us later. So, if you were hoping to secure your Switch 2 early and avoid the scalper chaos, because, let's be honest, this thing's gonna be hot, you're stuck waiting. Retailers like GameStop and Best Buy still have pages up, but no pre-order buttons yet. The bigger question is the price. At $449.99, the Switch 2 was already pushing it for some fans. I mean, the original Switch was $299 back in 2017, and even adjusted for inflation, that's about $389 today. A $450 price tag felt steep, but doable. Now, with these tariffs, we could be looking at $500, $550, maybe even $600 if things get wild. That's PlayStation 5 territory. And don't get me started on the games. Some Switch 2 titles are already listed at $80, which is another hit to the wallet. For a lot of us, especially if you're on a budget, this could make the Switch 2 a tougher sell. Will Nintendo eat some of the cost to keep prices down? Maybe, but they're a business, not a charity. Or will they stick with $450 and just make fewer consoles available in the USA? That could mean shortages, scalpers jacking up prices on eBay, and a lot of frustrated fans. Either way, it's a mess we didn't ask for. Okay, before we spiral into doom and gloom, let's look at the bright side. The Switch 2 is still coming June 5th, 2025. Tariffs or not, that hasn't changed. We've got awesome games on the way, and the console itself looks like a beast compared to the original. Plus, Nintendo's got a track record of figuring stuff out. They've been through trade wars before and still came out on top. What's next? Keep an eye out for updates from Nintendo. They're probably scrambling right now to crunch the numbers and decide their move. Maybe they'll negotiate with retailers, shift more production, or even push Trump to ease up on those tariffs. Who knows? For us, it's a waiting game. If you're desperate to lock in a Switch 2, you could try asking a friend overseas to snag one, but that's a long shot. So, there you have it. The Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order delay in the USA, all thanks to Trump's tariffs. It's a curveball we didn't see coming, and it might mean a pricier console down the road. What do you think? Will you still grab a Switch 2 if the price jumps? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this convo going. If you like this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe to GamingSafeSpace, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next update. Until then, stay safe, keep gaming, and I'll catch you in the next one.